Welcome back, everybody. Anthony Crothers, chiropractic physician, better known as Doc Tony, is back with us. And today, he's talking about unnecessary surgeries and how it can affect all Florida drivers. Thanks for being here, Doc Tony.
Yeah, no problem. You know, I've been here for the last 4 or 5 shows. I've been on the show, Charlene, talking about what happens to individuals when they're involved in motor vehicle accidents, specifically.
Because that affects a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And so you've been kind of walking through the process of kind of the experience and treatment and some of the concerns and questions you should be asking.
Exactly. And one of the things I've been talking about is a specific injury, because there's so many different ways that people can have accidents, get hurt. So we're focusing more on just a low impact collision. That's when somebody's rear-ended from the back. And what we talked about is when the head snaps violently forward and back, how it damages soft tissue. And if soft tissue is not treated properly, it's going to leave people with more of a severe permanent injury than they would have had if they would have had the proper treatment. Like anything, if you cut yourself and you don't take care of the cut properly, it's going to form a cut more severe than the cut could have been if you would have taken care of it properly.
And that's something that may not hurt as bad the day of, but by gosh, by the day after or the week after, that's the kind of injury that you really start to feel.
Absolutely. You had a gentleman up here earlier talking about working out. When people go to the gym and they work out and they wake up sore the next day, they did that through a slow, progressive breakdown of the muscle. But it was a controlled exercise. When you have an accident, it's a violent, sudden impact to your body, to your spine, to your soft. Exactly. So what it does is it overstretches the soft tissue beyond its physiological capabilities, and it ends up overstretching it, tearing it, or rupturing it. And sometimes it hurts the disc. Now, what happens when people go to a clinic where they're not taking care of people properly, and there's not a lot of people that own these clinics, but there's a lot of clinics throughout the state of Florida, not just in this state, but wherever there's personal injury protection or bodily injury coverage, you're going to find a few numbers out there really destroying this for all people.
And when you're in pain, you just want to go someplace where they're going to fix you, and you really want the best advice possible.
And you know, what happens is if people have never had an accident before, they go to a doctor, people don't know any better. So they don't know whether they're getting good treatment or not. And now how they set them up for this surgery that's no good is they've never given the person good treatment. So after 2 months, what do you think they still have?
Well, they still have pain.
So what do you think they present them as an option?
Surgery. And you feel like, well, I've tried everything else.
You got it. Wow. And so what happens now, these people get these surgeries, and there's different types of surgeries they can do, and they cost a different amount. Even the parts that they put inside the people that are having the surgery, it's a big business, people. You've got to watch it. You've listened to my commercial. I tell people it's a tricky business being injured in a car accident, and you don't want to go to just any doctor or any attorney, because you end up in one of these facilities, they have one goal in mind. Their goal is to get you in there, desecrate your personal injury protection, meaning that's there for you to get treated. And if they're not treating you properly, then what did they do for you? Now, after they've exhausted your personal injury protection, now they're going to check to see what the liability coverage. I've been on the show talking about how in Florida we're not protected. Bodily injury is not a mandate. Well, I'll tell you right now, if I'm an insurance company, do you want a bodily injury to be a mandate in a state where you have these people that are just desecrating it, running wild, white-collar crime, just dipping into it and robbing it? Because that's what they're doing. Anytime you get surgery or someone performs surgery on an individual that doesn't need it, what would you call that person?
Well, not nice.
See, now, Doc Tony, I spent a lot of time riding horses and walking through a pasture. And what builds up on your feet when you walk across a pasture, you guys know what that is, right? Yeah. Well, these people are lower than that. Because anybody that will make money doing surgery is no good.
And you're not opposed to surgery, though.
I'm absolutely not opposed to surgery.
Because in some cases, you do need surgery.
If there's a neurologic deficit, and people need to understand that, if there's a neurologic deficit, or if you've had all the treatment properly that can be done, rendered, proper physical therapy, proper chiropractic, you've done everything you could do to prevent the surgery, and that's an option, I'm all for it. But you don't do it, these guys don't do it for that. They do it just to make the money, and what that does, it hurts not only the person who had the accident, it hurts all of us who's insured in the state of Florida, and it hurts the insurance companies.
So what would you tell someone if they think they may need surgery or they're being told they need surgery? How do you really find out? Who do you go to? Who do you check with? And a lot of times you do check with, get referrals from friends, people who've had successful treatment. But what would be your professional experience and advice to them about how to make sure that if I am getting surgery, I really do need this, and I'm going to the proper place to get it?
Well, you just explained it perfectly. That was great. If you have a friend that's going to refer you, then chances are you're going to go to a good doctor and a good attorney. And the majority, I mean, the 99% of the doctors and attorneys, they're great, but there's a small percentage out there that only care about themselves. And if you end up in one of those clinics by not getting a referral from a friend and just calling just any number, do not call just any number, people. Make sure you're getting referral from somebody that knows. If you don't have a good attorney or a good doctor that you can trust, you call me, Doc Tony.
And one of the benefits, I got to be honest with you, of the internet is when you can look up and ask for reviews or responses, or look up on the Better Business Bureau, or look on the professional organizations that license these folks. folks. I know I've found a lot of information, you know, being a former journalist myself, there's a lot of information out there that you should be doing your own homework.
And that's absolutely true. And the individuals that actually use these numbers and end up in these offices, they're not doing their research, and they're just calling any number, and they're ending up with these people where their goal is one thing. They care about themselves, their pocket, their money. And listen, you guys that do this, you're absolutely no good. And when I look at you, when I see you, just know what I think about you. You're an absolute joke.
And sometimes, you know, gut feeling there's a lot to be said about that. If you go in a clinic or you go in somewhere or you leave and you're like, you know, just didn't feel right about that. I just don't feel good about that, or the treatment wasn't as professional as I wanted it to be. Sometimes your gut is the best way to go. Or how many times do you have people come back and go, you know, I had a feeling that that probably wasn't the best way to go.
See, but you have a very strong personality, and they're not going to take advantage of someone like you. They're going to take advantage of people who are more of a follower. They're a listener. They're trusting. I take back the following. They're trusting people, and they're believing when they go to these doctors and these attorneys that they're good people, and they're not. That's not always the case.
Well, Doc Tony, thank you so much. Clearly, your passion comes across for folks. Thank you for your expert advice and for sponsoring this segment. Now, if you find yourself in need of some auto accident assistance, call Doc Tony at 1-888-888-8863 for a free consultation at one of his 2 convenient locations, or you can visit his website, www.doctony.org, because as Doc Tony likes to say, you, my friend, deserve to live pain-free.